Hello, Anagha. Thank you so much for joining us on the Foghorn Podcast today. What would you like to share with us today?
Hello, thank you so much for having me on board. Today, I would like to share with you my experience of trying to choose my career path, trying to find what major to do in university, and how it is going to connect to my journey later on, as you know, into the professional world and so on. So I'll give you a brief idea about how things work in the Indian curriculum. So I studied in an Indian curriculum school in the UAE all my life. And how it works is when you reach grade 10, you are supposed to, after your grade 10, you're supposed to choose one out of the three streams. So you've got a science stream, you've got a commerce stream, and you've got a humanities and arts stream. Now the thing was, these streams are pretty much boxed into categories. So I'm a person with diverse interests. So I'm passionate about science. I love experimenting with physics, with chemistry. At the same time, I also love literature. I love politics. I love economics. Now, and there's clearly no way to sort of choose options from across streams. You've got to be either in the science stream, the commerce, or the humanities. And as a 15-year-old, it was a very
Big decision.
difficult process making a decision. Now, traditionally in our community, people who are good at academics, they tend to take science, or they're encouraged to take science stream over the other two streams. I mean, it's been a traditional sort of discrimination.
Sorry, what do you mean encouraged? Like,
So, I mean, parents and other elders would sort of give you more value or respect you more if you're in the science stream than if you're in any other stream, because it's believed that people who are more intelligent can do science while anybody can do everything else. I mean, that sort of misconception sort of exists.
So you have a lot of pressure then at this time. It's not just pressure from you, it's pressure from people around you.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the thing is, if you're someone who, I mean, there are a lot of students who, right from a very young age, they already know that I want to be a doctor, or I want to be XYZ. So, those kids don't have a problem. But when it comes to people who have diverse range of interests, and people who are trying to figure out how to sort of carve their niche, or how to find out their own career path, it becomes very, very taxing and emotionally challenging.
Yeah. So what happened? Yeah, carry on. Yeah.
Okay, so at this point, I wanted to do I wanted to sort of I was I was pretty good at academics from the traditional standards. I scored in the 90%.
Did you? That's amazing.
Which was so everybody sort of expected me to go ahead and take science and probably become a doctor. Traditional standards. So, but the thing is, it's not that I didn't like science, but I felt that maybe I should sort of go ahead and take up humanities, simply because I wanted to show that I wanted to sort of break the misconception about people who think that people in humanities are not intelligent enough. I wanted to do that.
Wow.
But again, I wasn't very confident, because I felt I would miss science if I were to go and take up humanities. And I was confused. And again, people around me couldn't sort of give me the best advice, because everyone just kept telling me, you're good at academics, go take science. That was the only advice I was getting from anybody around me.
And how were you feeling at this time? You said you were feeling confused. Were you like feeling stressed as well, or worried about what your family might think if you chose something else to study?
One thing was, first of all, my parents, it's the first time that they're seeing someone confused about what they want to take. So they were tensed, and that tension and that stress sort of passed on to me, because we stay together and we interact. So that sort of thing was passing on to me. And plus, it was the fear So first of all, I was feeling the fear of being inadequate because I can see everyone around me sort of having a clear idea about everything. And I felt, I was the only person who didn't know what to do in life, and maybe I was a failure.
And you were
And
15. You were 15 as
yeah,
well. Imagine, how are you supposed to know what you want to do at 15?
yeah. And then you expect to stick on, choose a path at 15 and stick on to it for eternity. I mean, I don't know how that works. So, so then I started doing, yeah. And then I was also sort of very, very scared because, what if I don't choose a career, and what if I don't find a job, and what if I don't have anything to do in life? And, the
Really?
cycle of
You're thinking all of that.
self-doubt and,
Mm.
what if I, like that what if cycle, it's just so taxing. And I couldn't sleep properly at night. I couldn't
Wow.
sort of concentrate on what was going on. I mean, it was a very challenging experience, but
Did
at the
anyone,
same time,
did
yeah.
anyone say to you, whatever you choose is okay, it's fine? Did anyone say that to you?
My group of close best friends did say that to me. They were pretty supportive because I'm someone who I have a diverse range of interests, and my friends have been super supportive of that. So they were like, whatever you choose, you can maybe sort of switch your career later, or they were being pretty understanding. But again, as a 15-year-old, and now what I was feeling was that my friends were of my age. What were they supposed to know? I mean, it's not that I don't trust my friends, but you have that general feeling that people of your age don't know only as much as you. So maybe they're just saying things to make me feel better.
Okay.
Maybe I was overthinking, but that was a sort of
Yeah,
thing
you
that
didn't
was going
trust
on in
it.
my mind.
Okay.
So yeah, and my teachers were also not being very helpful because they were constantly asking me what I wanted to do. And when I was trying to tell them that this, then they would, I mean, from coming from a traditional background, even they sort of expected me to go ahead and take science and say become a doctor or become an engineer. So that sort of thing was there. So it was very difficult to get anyone to listen to what I was saying and try and figure out what to do. So then I started going online and looking out for resources. Now, when I say looking out for resources, I was looking at unconventional jobs. So jobs that sort of bring science and the humanities together, interdisciplinary fields. I was trying and reading up about them. And I sort of came across things like neuroeconomics, which is a combination of neuroscience and economics. I came across science diplomacy, which is something where you are a scientist and you are in the diplomatic practice. So you're basically helping make policies about scientific concepts like, say, artificial intelligence or cryptocurrencies. So yeah, that sort of thing.
Wow, so you were doing all of that. That's amazing that you were doing that. You were going through all that stress, all of that pressure. You had to make a huge decision. You were 15 years old. Yeah, I think that's, amazing. Anyway, sorry, carry on.
And I started finding these things, but again, a lot of times the problem was that these resources were very much sort of focused in the United States. So they were about people in the United States. They were about things that were happening in the United States. So an Indian youngster growing up in the Middle East, I that again got me more stressed because I felt I wouldn't be able to do that because I'm not in the United States, and because all the resources say that these things exist in the United States. I mean, there were no resources about people who were in these interdisciplinary fields in my region, either in India or in the Middle East. So that was pretty, stressful as well.
How much time did you have? Like, did you feel like time was running out to make this decision? Like, it sounds like you had so much on. I'm just wondering how you fitted all of this in your schedule.
Okay, so what happens is you've got your board exams, your final board exams coming up in March, and you have time from your summer vacations, that's July, August, up to December to sort of, figure out and, sort of tell your school. I mean, you've got to fill out a form and all of that. So and once you fill it out, it's final. So you can
Oh.
go ahead and change it. So it's I have to fill the form.
Yeah.
I mean, I was pretty much the last person to sort of put it in, uh, but so towards the end, I sort of figured out that I could request my school, or I could sort of ask out if I can do a science stream along with an economic subject. So something like a merge thing. I mean, I would be in the science
Wow.
stream, but I would also be doing eco. So
Wow.
I mean, that was something I came up because I saw that a couple of other schools had some students take up this stream, and it was I sort of asked, and initially they were like, no, why would you want to do this? What would even I mean, why would anyone want to do this stream? Why would I mean it wouldn't I mean it isn't the traditional notion of what you call successful. And everyone was just around me asking me what I want to do, and why do I want to take economics with the science stream. And then I went. So I had to sort of convince them. So I went online again, and I started looking out for universities that offer courses in science and economics. I mean, or science and humanities subjects together. So I did find a couple of universities, and I mailed that to my principal, and I told her, see, these are the things I can do after I finish a science stream with eco, and these are my career prospects and all of that. And they saw that I'm serious about it, and they said, okay, go ahead and sort of take up the stream. And once they found out that I wasn't simply being dreamy about it, they sort of gave me an opportunity to do it. And I was so there were four of us who decided to take up this
Wow.
stream, and we were the first students in our school to probably do a hybrid of science and humanities streams. And we used to sit in class with humanities students and study economics. I mean, it was a pretty good or a new experience, and it sort of showed me that if I really wanted to do something, I could possibly do it, and I could get other people to support me.
That's amazing, because you were on your own at first. So what drove you? Do you think, was it intuition that you just thought, I need to do this? Like, what made you carry on? Because it sounds like everybody around you in authority were just kind of against your idea, and there's 15-year-old, but you're still, was it self-belief? Like, what kept you going? Because that sounds very stressful.
Okay,
A lot of
so
people would have just given up. Yeah.
So initially, my parents were, pretty confused themselves. Why is my kid being all confused when other kids are all, so clear? But, gradually they sort of understood that, I wasn't just being kiddish or being naive. And they realized that, maybe I wanted something different out of the whole experience. And they sort of started sitting down with me and talking to me about what I really want. And during the initial part, of course, I was researching on my own, but towards the later stages, even they started getting on board with the idea, and helping me research and reach out to people who I could speak
Wow.
to and ask. So they were being extremely supportive. Like initially, they were also in a sense of shock, but they recovered definitely faster than me, and they started trying and making things easier for me. My best friends were extremely supportive. They kept telling me, I mean, I had a new idea every single day about what I should do in life. And, they kept listening to me. And, I think the best part about the process was that I had people to sort of listen to what I was saying, regardless of what I was saying, whether it was making sense or not. There were people who were sort of sitting down and listening to what I was saying, and, genuinely listening. I mean, not just, hearing me out, but putting in
Yeah.
an effort to understand what I'm trying to say, which was very, very good.
Mm.
And yeah, I mean, and again, I was also there were a couple of good books that were pretty helpful. I mean, not in the sense that it helped me choose my career, but in the sense that it gave me a sense of hope to stick on to things.
What were they?
So
What's the name of the books?
The Alchemist was one of the books. It talks about the personal legend and follow your heart and all of that.
Wow.
So yes, The Alchemist was super helpful.
And
yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. And so looking back now, what would have made that period in your life like easier and less stressful, do you think?
Okay, so after that, I mean, I finished high school 2 years later, and when I finished high school, and while I was trying to choose my university, I again faced the same sort of challenge because the universities that have these interdisciplinary courses, they're pretty hard to get into. So again, I got into this whole cycle of how do I, what if I don't get into those universities, and what do I do? Then what do I study? That sort of a thing. So that was again a very taxing experience. But it was during that time that I came across a TED talk by Emily Wapnick. So she was talking about something called the multipotentialite personality trait. So what this means is a multipotentialite is a person who has a diverse range of interests and who can use these interests to sort of work across a domain of careers. So someone who's a multipotentialite is not just one professional. She is not just an artist, but she's also an artist and an entrepreneur and a writer and a traveler, that sort of thing. So I found out and then I went into her website called Pretty Like, and I sort of figured out that I'm a multi-potentialite, and what, my diverse range of interests is actually not a bad thing, but it's something that is an actual personality trait and something that should be embraced. So, I mean, and I think this is something that sort of needs to go into the school culture. So, in my school or in my schooling community, if there was an understanding of the fact that kids who don't have a decision about their career, even when they come to say 15 years old, 16 years old, it's completely fine. So we have a tendency to sort of what do you say, appreciate the children who have an aim right from childhood. That's a good thing. I mean, that's a personality. That is a specialist personality trait. And that's a different type of personality trait. So students who are not able to sort of figure things out, they might probably be multi-potentialites, and this is one personality trait that is not very much encouraged in our communities.
And there must be so many teenagers who don't know what they want to do. I think there's more teenagers who are probably in your situation than knowing what they want to do from the beginning. But that's unusual. They're the exception, I would say.
And again, probably people who say I don't know what they want to do. It's not that they don't know. It's just that they haven't found what they want to do yet.
Yeah, exactly. How would you possibly know at 15? You haven't lived enough, No, that's fascinating. And so what happened? Then you got into university and...
Yes, so I got into, I mean, thankfully, I got through the entrance exams of Bill Institute of Technology. And thankfully, this university is where I can do a dual degree in science and in economics. And so that's what I'm going to be starting to do. I mean, I'm currently in my first year, and in my first year, I am doing only the sciences. But starting from my second year, I'll be doing a dual degree in economics, which, that's what I wanted to do all along.
Yeah. Do you feel like at the end of it all, you chose to combine them to keep like your family happy and also keep yourself happy? Do you feel like that's why you combined them both?
Initially, when I combined that was my sort of goal, to keep me happy, keep my family happy. But when I started doing both together in my grades 11 and 12, I understood that that's actually what I wanted to do all along, but just didn't know about it.
Wow,
So,
this is amazing.
because Yeah, and because of my background in the sciences, I got into a mentorship program at the New York Academy of Science,
Amazing.
uh, something called the Thousand Girls, Thousand Futures mentorship program. And I was the only, I was in fact the first person from UAE to be sort of a part of the program.
Wow.
Uh, and that has been a life-changing experience because I met a lot of women who are in diverse branches of science, and I sort of found out that science is not just about being, say, an engineer or a doctor, but it's also about a lot of other things.
Mm. And so what would be your advice for the millions of teens who are going through the same experience that you've been through? Maybe they're under pressure to study something, but they don't want to, and they're feeling alone and under stress. What would be your advice to them?
Uh, I mean, I personally don't like being advised, so I don't know how much advice is going to help people. But I can say something that I've learned along the way, and maybe it might help someone. So one thing is, if you don't know what you're going to do, the first thing that you need to sort of do is to feel comfortable with that feeling. So, be okay with not knowing what you want to do. I mean, even if everyone around you is already, know they already know what their life's purpose is and they are dashing towards their goal. It's absolutely fine if you don't know yet, because I mean, you can always find out. And if you are sort of feeling alone, I would say find someone to talk to, and someone, I mean, not someone who would know everything, but someone who would sit down and listen to you. So it may be your parents, maybe your friends, maybe even, people on the internet. I mean, there are a lot of platforms on the internet as well,
Yeah.
which offer you an opportunity to sort of communicate with, someone on the other side. And I personally am not comfortable with that. But if you are someone who's okay with,
Mm.
confiding in someone who doesn't know you, and you're, more comfortable with doing that than relying on people who you can see face to face, then, go ahead and do
Yeah.
that. But
And it sounds like you got a lot of your information from the internet. That's how you found out that there were other avenues that you could take. So being informed, I think it sounds like being informed helped you as well.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
And
amazing. Yes, carry on.
yeah, and I mean, I sort of got into, I mean, through my experiences at the New York Academy of Science, I then went on to be accepted to a Girls for SDGs platform of the United Nations.
Wow.
And through this platform, I met a lot of science diplomats. So, the people I had read about when I was 15 and trying to figure out who they are, I actually had an opportunity to interview science diplomats and figure out what their career paths look like. And, I'm more sort of, accepting the fact that, science diplomacy is closer to me than I thought before.
Wow, what an amazing story. So have you an inspiring story actually? Have you got anything else to say before we finish?
So I would say there are a couple of things that you could always do, to sort of make you feel better. And one thing is to stay curious and stay open-minded, and always grab on and learn new things. I mean, even if you are someone who's who's, say, a science student, but if you hear something about art history, don't just push it away saying it's not my domain. I mean, the world is growing so rapidly and evolving so rapidly, and it's very, very important to stay sort of interconnected and stay interdisciplinary. So don't say this is not my thing, because I mean, in a couple of years, there'll be no my thing or your thing anymore. Everyone is going to work across domains. And
Wow.
something very interesting that I came across a couple of weeks ago, I was reading a book called The Gene by Siddhartha Mukherjee. And through this book, I found out that, the innovators, we sort of exalt scientists, say Pythagoras, who invented the Pythagoras theorem, same Gregor Mendel, who discovered the laws of genetics.
Mm.
They were actually working interdisciplinary. So Gregor Mendel was a monk who went to study physics at university, and then went on to, grow pea plants in his garden. And he sort of applied the laws of physics to sort of come to the laws of genetics. So it's, all of our inventors and our innovators have actually been interdisciplinary. And it's really sad that, we are sort of being boxed these days. And maybe that's why we don't have, a lot of, I mean, of course, there's a lot of innovation, but not the sort of breakthrough innovations that used to happen a couple of centuries ago. Maybe, we've lost them because we've been so busy trying to figure out which box we fit into.
Yeah, and there's no box to fit into. That's a brilliant way to end this. There is no box to fit into. We create our own box, yeah? Or not a box.
Maybe we don't need boxes.
Yeah, we don't need a box. There's no box, yes. No, thank you so much, Anagha. And yes, thank you for that. And I'm sure you've inspired lots of people listening to this. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you for having me again. And yeah, looking forward.